going on? How you been?
Everything good?
Yeah, can't complain. It's always nice to come here.
Good evening, welcome to the November 25th Town Board meeting. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, you're going to do 2.1, the scoping? What's that? You're going to do 2.1, the scoping? Yeah. Yeah, I think we should hold off till the next meeting to just let them, look, at the document before we approve it, you know what I mean?
You don't want to close it?
Nah, because, well, it's closed anyway. Anyway, we'll
All right. Okay, I'm gonna start out by opening up the public hearing and making a motion for the, so you want, wait, you're telling me you want to move that one down to the bottom? You can't do that because they're done in order.
No.
Time-wise.
No, we can open up 2.1.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to open up the continuation of public hearing for the proposed.
Supervisor, sorry to interrupt, but I don't believe we've formally opened the meeting yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry, thank you.
I'm waiting for that, yeah.
A minor technicality here.
Yeah, minor.
Yeah, we'll get this right eventually.
Can I second that? Oh,
Make a motion, to open the meeting.
Cologne is second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
council. Now, I'd like to make a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing for the proposed amendment to Chapter 57 of the Town Code.
I will second that motion.
Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved.
All right, so in regards to the, this was the part of, we had the scoping session, the scoping, public hearings regarding the changes to this has to do with the CCR, the Conservation Floating Zone, and so the planner has submitted a draft of his responses to the public comments and written comments, and I just got it today, or we just got it today, so I think we'd like to have the rest of the board share it with the rest of the board, especially Mary. You have a lot of experience in this area, and we'll look to accept that scoping document at the next meeting, and with comments. Obviously, we'll give everyone a little chance to look at it. All right, because are we on for the 3rd or the 9th? When's our next meeting?
The 9th, I believe.
The 9th.
December.
9th? Okay.
No,
Isn't it December? December?
it's 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, because next Monday's the 3rd, so. And I think it's not an issue. Will keep us on track for, our schedule. So, I mean, I looked at it. It was very comprehensive, really well done by Max, and but again, I think probably be a good idea to have the rest of the board look at it before we adopt it.
Yep, I want to make sure it also includes the village's concerns as well in that scope.
Well, yeah, those
does.
are all answered out.
It
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
He answers all that. Okay. So I will make a motion to keep open the public hearing on the proposed amendment for Chapter 57 of the Town Code.
Supervisor,
Yes.
one brother signed up to speak.
You already answered my question.
Okay. All right. To keep open, thank you. To keep open the continuation of public hearing for the proposed amendment of Chapter 57 of the Town Code at 7 p.m. on December 9th.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Motion to open up the continuation of public hearing for the proposed changes to Article 14 of the Town of Monroe zoning local law.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Anyone sign up to speak?
Ward Brower.
Just, that's the non-conforming uses, just,
Yeah, Ward Broward Private Citizens. I just want to know what the schedule is as far as passing this. Do we have any time frame?
Well, I would say at the next meeting, most likely, yeah.
Okay, that's my primary concern.
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're there.
Okay, thanks.
You got it, Ward.
Thanks, Ward.
Anyone else?
That's all.
Anyone on the town board? Okay, so I will make a motion to keep open the continuation of public hearing for the proposed changes to Article 14 of the Town of Monroe zoning local law on December 9th at 7:05 PM.
I'll make that motion.
You're seconding, I
You're
think.
seconding it.
I'm seconding that motion, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye?
Cardone, aye.
Scankrow, aye.
Begin aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, public hearing notice, 2.5 to regarding an introductory local law number, hopefully 8, to amend Article 3, Chapter 51 of the Town Code, which is buses and trucks exclusions. So I'll make a motion to open up that public hearing.
I will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye?
Cardone, aye.
Scankrow, aye.
Begin aye.
Okay. Anyone sign up to speak?
No one has signed up.
Mr. Sherney, did you have anything to add to it?
No. For what, Tomm? I didn't hear you on that one, I'm sorry.
That's all right. The local law for the trucks and buses exclusions.
Oh, no, yeah, we're good. We got School Road and we got Lake Region.
Lake Region.
Yep, absolutely. Two
Okay.
new roads and they should be, taken care of and hopefully last a little bit longer,
Okay. Anybody, anything to add?
Well, the only other thing I would add is that School Road is a little steep and a little curvy and a little windy, and large trucks really shouldn't be on there, and we've even seen like those tour-size buses, those 50-foot-long buses. So that really shouldn't, like John said, by keeping the weight limit on that road, it'll make it last a lot longer.
Okay.
Superintendent Sherney, I got a quick question for you. What are your thoughts on adding Seven Springs to that? Because I've got a lot of complaints about truck and bus traffic, and that's kind of the same thing, a very narrow, windy road where it comes out of.
That's just a matter of you guys accepting that,
Yeah.
I guess, and at that point, and ladies, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And,
where it comes out onto 208 there. That's
And just,
It's
it's
steep.
just basically a couple more signs,
right.
that's not that difficult to do.
Okay. Yeah, I have a couple of residents over there have been complaining. I guess mostly because of the uptick in construction and them kind of using that, the construction companies using that as a.
Well, they're coming from County Route 44 down.
Right,
And
right,
then basically making that big loop is what they're doing. Scunnamunk Road to Forest, County
Right.
Route 44, they make one big loop and they go
Right.
up, Seven Springs. So,
Yeah.
yes, there is a tremendous amount of truck traffic up there.
Yeah.
And that road is, becoming dilapidated as, every year
Right.
goes by too, so.
Okay. All right. Yeah, maybe that's something we'll discuss it.
So rather than close the public hearing, I think it's probably best to keep it open till next meeting, where we'll have the resolution to include all 3 roads. Okay?
Okay. I mean, is anyone else have thoughts on that, or?
No. I know exactly what you're talking about as far as Seven Springs. It also has a very steep angle of descent when it comes into 208 as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing.
I think someone from the public wants to speak there.
Oh,
Good question. Do we have the standard clause in there for local deliveries, exceptions to, when you close these roads, because how are you gonna service some,
well, it's based on weight.
yeah, but even so, you have garbage haulers you have deliveries, people will make deliveries with oversized vehicles.
Correct, there probably should be
That's
some,
still a
local
clause in
delivery,
there
local
I mean,
deliveries.
it's not a routine schedule, it's not a bypass, but someone has to make a local delivery. Sometimes they can't downsize these vehicles. It's not practical.
Point
We'll
taken.
certainly look
That's a
at that.
good point.
It's a good
Yeah.
point.
Thank
That
you.
and garbage delivery.
Anyone else? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to keep open the continuation of public hearing for proposed introductory local law number 8, amend Article 3, Chapter 51 of the Town Code, trucks and buses exclusions.
I'll second.
Call the question.
For discussion, what time?
7:20, no,
15?
15.
15?
7:15
On December 9th?
on
Yes.
December 9th.
Okay,
Tight schedule here.
I agree.
Thank you.
Okay.
Call the question.
Supervisor, I think
Well-
that's 7:10.
We have 3, 7:10.
All right.
Thank you. Okay.
Well,
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. Now, motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing of the proposed amendments to Chapter 51 of the Town Code, overweight vehicles.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. All right. John, anything you want to add regarding that?
No, we're good.
Anyone from the public want to speak?
No one has signed up.
Ward.
Gentlemen, and clarification over this, over the one we just had the exclusion where you don't allow trucks and buses, that's the overweight vehicles. How is this differing from that?
The way it was explained to me is this one came to us first because we were worried about the Forest Avenue going into the village. This was actually tying in so that someone didn't cross the Forest Avenue Bridge and already be on a road that was limited to 11 tons, I think. So the village asked us to do this. That's why there's actually 2 of
This is
them.
really fine tuning the other code that you're saying.
Correct, coming out from Forest Road Bridge to Scunnamunk. And that, the village has weight restrictions on Scunnamunk itself. We
Right.
did not have the weight restriction on our section of Scunnamunk, so there was no enforcement that could have been done on that section.
Again, it has the exceptions for local delivery.
Yes, and Mary believes that's actually in there, we just got to
Thank you.
check.
Thank you. Okay. Flavor of the board? Open, close,
Keep it open.
keep it open?
Yeah, till the 9th.
Yeah.
Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to keep it open till the 9th of December at 7:15, if that is amenable.
Yep.
That's correct. I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved.
And now,
And now we have motion to, well, let's call, is an order calling for a public hearing for Old Country Road
Water
for
District.
their water district.
Yeah.
We'll make a motion to open that hearing for the Old Country Road Water District formation.
I'll second it.
Alright.
Or Mr.
Oh.
Cologne, you can go ahead with that second if you so
Oh, thank
desire.
you so much,
Call the
sir.
question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank
Good
you.
evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Pryor.
Good
How are you?
Good, thank you, Supervisor. The board members, appreciate you having the public hearing tonight. Mr. Zahn, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you turn his mic up a little? There you go, try it again.
Can you hear me now?
Move the mic up a little bit. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
It's not coming
No.
through, George.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah, it's off.
It's off.
No light.
Is there a light on there?
Green light, little green dot?
There's a green dot, but I can't tell if it's on.
Just speak into the mic.
Test, 1, 2, 3,
No.
4.
You're not on.
He's not on.
Can hear Ward fine. No.
Test, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You want to,
What?
Test, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do I have to push this or anything?
No.
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 Bang the mic
hey
up
George,
again.
can we just,
Yeah, for a
Use
minute.
one.
give him one of these?
Take
or-
mine.
Yeah, I think there should be enough cord here, just keep on going,
Okay.
keep on going, keep on going, keep on, there you go.
Okay.
There it is.
Thank you.
Well done.
Okay, this light is on.
There you go.
All right,
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Something like that, yeah.
The village has filed, as required under the law, the map, plan, and report, as required by Article 12C of the town law, for the formation of this water district. I want to just highlight the proposal for the board and for the public, and then if there's any questions, I'm happy to respond to those. The proposed district will be formed at no cost to the properties or to the town of Monroe. The village will prepare and has prepared and filed all applications for regulatory approvals required from New York State DEC and Orange County Department of Health. No costs of those regulatory approvals will be borne by the properties in the proposed district or by the town of Monroe. We do not believe the controller's approval is required, since there is no debt associated with the district and because the anticipated costs for the typical homeowner are below the comptroller's threshold. However, if the town board seeks comptroller's approval, the village will certainly cooperate in that process. The village will install the water main transmission line. No costs of the water main will be borne by the properties in the proposed district or by the town of Monroe. The village will install 2 fire hydrants in the water main on Old Country Road for fire protection purposes. No costs of this will be borne by the properties in the district or by the town of Monroe. The village will install all service lines and make all connections to any existing home that desires connection within 6 months of the district's formation. Thereafter, a fee will be charged, but for the first 6 months, no charges. There will be no connection fees to any existing home that connects within 6 months of the district's formation. Thereafter,
Excuse me.
a fee will be charged. The village will also charge a water connection fee for any new homes that are created on any new lands or for any significant enlargements of any existing homes. The village will have a permit process and an inspector in the field at all times during the installation and connections. All homes will be required to terminate the use of and disconnect their private wells from each home. Each home will have a water meter and, where required, a pressure reduction valve. The village will read the meters and bill the property owners directly. The town board and town of Monroe will have no administrative costs associated with water billing or collection. We are hoping to have an intermunicipal agreement between the village and the town water district, whereby the village will provide the water to the properties in the district, and the only obligation of the town will be to levy onto the town tax rolls any unpaid water fees and water charges that may exist at the time of your annual levy. There has been discussion in the past about the status of construction and moving the process along. I'd like to report tonight that the bid documents have been completed. An advertisement has been placed in the local newspaper or will be posted very soon for bids. The village has copies of all the bid documents. A pre-bid contractor walkthrough has been scheduled for December 6th, 2019. The bids are planned to be received and are due by December 16th. The contractor will start work within 7 days of the notice of award and has 30 days to complete. This schedule includes submittals and approval of shop drawings, lead time on materials, equipment, and construction. It is our expectation that work will be complete late January to mid-February, depending on weather conditions. That completes my summary for the board and for the public.
All right, I have a couple of questions. First is, what is, you talked about a fee after 6 months. Do you know what that fee is?
It would be the village's standard fee schedule. I'm not sure offhand what it is, but I can provide that to you for your...
Is that the $20,000 fee
No,
to hook up?
not for water.
Oh, yeah, for water.
Let me just check on that.
Okay.
If you'd allow me to do
All
that.
right, that was number one. Number two, and this is probably the most important one. My feeling regarding this, and I know that everything you presented tonight was what came from Palm Tree's side. We didn't negotiate any of this. This was...
That's correct. That's
Right.
that's exactly right. And if the public thinks otherwise, I'm
So-
pleased. That's not the case. This is the village's proposal to the town.
Right.
Understood, this is a proposal.
Okay, so my feeling is that these people have had infrastructure in their homes, with well pump, wells, pipes, anything associated with, some of them might have a pressure tank, I don't know, but anything associated with infrastructure there. And they're losing that infrastructure. And they're losing it because the Brenner wells were the ones that were drawn down from by KJ and Palm Tree, thus causing their wells to yield less and some of them going dry. So my feeling, and this is just mine, the board hasn't been explained this yet, is that these residents should not be charged for water for a period of 4 years.
What's the connection between the 4 years of water service and the amount of infrastructure investment?
Well, I would say that that's probably half of the infrastructure that went in, based on quick numbers I did.
There are only 2 homes that need to connect to this district right now. I'm not sure what the infrastructure for those 2 homes is. Perhaps you have more information, but we're happy to evaluate that.
That's fine, but well, you say there's only 2 homes that have to connect only because they're dry, but the other ones' yields have gone down substantially, and I think if you read the report from the DEC, you'll get a better understanding of that. So that's my take on that. What is the justification if the homes are enlarged that there's an additional fee charged?
Well, because they may be adding more bedrooms and creating additional usage.
Right, but you're going to get
gonna
more
get-
water
We're going
rates.
to charge water
that's why you
rates.
have the
They
pump.
may need different service lines. They may need a larger service line. We're not installing a
Okay,
huge
so then,
service
if,
line for
all
everything.
right, so if they have a service line there and they do an addition and they need a larger service line, then I could understand possibly charging them an additional fee. But if they do an addition, not just if it's enlarged, if they do an addition and there's no bedrooms associated with that, I don't see a need to, charge a fee.
I can understand that.
Okay. You said you're telling the town that the town is not charging an administrative fee. So what happens when we have to re-levy something and our people have to do work for that? So that means that we're not allowed to...
Although you are allowed. What I didn't mean to imply that you couldn't add a
okay.
service fee. We weren't going to impose one on the town. But if during the re-levy process, if you have costs that are incurred by the town in connection with that process, you certainly should have those compensated.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and that can be resolved in the intermunicipal agreement.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Absolutely, we're not
Okay.
opposed to that at all.
Okay, and I think that was all I had.
I have a few questions.
I think we all have questions on that, but go ahead.
Ladies first.
Ms. Bingham?
Okay, what size is the water main itself, and what size will the service lines be? And you also mentioned, piggybacking on the supervisor, significant enlargement of a residence. What do you count significant? Is it 50 feet, square feet, or is it 5,000 square feet? Significant is too vague.
Okay, we can define that further for you, absolutely.
Okay.
But let me go back to your question about the size of the line. I
Right.
believe that's in the map and plan and report.
As well as the service lines to each individual residence. Because you seem to imply just now that, larger residents will need a larger service line. So I want to know what you're supplying right now.
Currently, all of the single-family homes would use a typical service line. They wouldn't require an additional service line. But if there's a multifamily home there, for
1
example,
inch.
that's going to require a different size service line.
Okay, so I need to know if that's addressed in your map plan and report. And then I had one other question.
So, Mary,
regarding-
just so you know, the service line is 1 inch, which is tapped.
And the main is 8 inch.
Line. I don't know what the...
The main
is
line?
8 inch.
The
It's
main
not
is
giving us
8
an
inch?
The main is 8 inch.
Okay.
The main is 8 inch,
Yeah.
and the service lines, you said, were 1 inch.
1.
That's what it says on the plan.
Yes.
It says install 1 inch threaded tap to 1 inch.
You could have a coupler to downsize
No,
it from
that's
a
over
1
here, I
inch
think.
to a
It's a
3/4
2-inch
inch.
wet tap.
They said they're paying for it. Service line.
You finished?
No, I have one other question. I just have to find my piece of paper. It had to do with their map plan and report.
While you're looking, you mind if Councilman McGinn goes?
Sure.
I got,
Go
what are we talking price per gallon? That wasn't brought up.
Yeah, we have that in the resolution that's part of the attachment. And that is $6 a thousand. Which is the same as all residential
Okay.
users outside
Thank
the
you.
village.
$6.
How much? 6?
$6 a thousand.
Which is the going rate.
Wow. Yeah.
You have another question, Sal?
That was it.
I just have one quick question on
Yes,
this.
sir.
Because we started this process well into, it was summertime, and we wanted to get that done before the first frost.
Right.
That's passed a few times. And now we're looking at perhaps even snow. You have the temporary lines in, which I do thank the village for. But is there any way to speed this process along? Because by February, it's going to be, this is going to be a real tenuous winter.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we can speed it up anymore. That's really, this is an aggressive schedule that we have right now.
It is, but,
Let me look at whether we can provide some incentive to the contractor for getting the work done faster.
Yeah, because it's...
I don't think we can get out to bid and get it started faster, but let's see if we can provide some incentives that would encourage the construction crew. to
Yeah,
work
because
faster.
my main concern is that the cold weather has already started, and it's going to be, by the time February comes around, it may even hold us off till March or April, because I think it's going to be a pretty bad winter. I mean, it started out already pretty cold.
I will look into that, and I will let the board know. Okay? I can let the supervisor know by a letter before the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, I found my question. In your map plan and report, page 1, at the very bottom of the page, it reads, The current source of potable water to the residential dwellings along Old Country Road is from private on-site water supply wells, with the exceptions of 46 and 55 Old Country Road. These two properties are already connected to the village water supply system. Tell me what district they're in.
Pardon?
Can you tell me what district they're in?
Those
Water
two
district?
residents, yeah.
I don't believe they're in a district.
So why are we making these residents be in a water district if you're not making these two?
Because, well, those people got water historically. We want to have a district. A district is the proper way for a village to provide water outside of its jurisdiction.
I believe historically, these two properties also had wells at one time. So can you tell me when they were hooked up to the Village of KJ/Palm Trees water system?
It's the village's water system, and I will look that up for you. I
Okay.
do not know that information.
Okay, I would appreciate that.
Okay, so that was for
46 and 55.
Right.
46 and 55.
55 is adjacent to Larkin Drive, and 46 is just off of Ivy Lane.
And your question is, when were they hooked up?
Right, and why
okay.
are they not in a water district? If
Would-
you're making these residents be part of a water
Well, they're
district?
going to be in this district.
Oh, because it seems pretty
It does-
exclusionary already by what's written.
I thought they were not.
No, I believe they're supposed to be in this district,
Well, if you could double check on that.
definitely.
Go ahead.
I could,
How are you, sir?
good, thanks.
Listen, the state trooper barracks is also being serviced by the village's water system right now, which is a town-owned property. So I don't know what your thoughts are on having, if that's part of a district right now, or what the arrangement is with that. But we'd sure like to, if this is going to be a district that's formed and there's town properties in it, then maybe we should think about having that as in the district as well, so it's not kind of on this outside thing. And it might be, we don't see those bills, so I don't know how that's
Right.
structured over there, so it's something to look at to see how we can maybe either get that in this district or not. All I know is
I'll
it's
look
getting village water, so
Yeah, I'm not aware of that, but I'll look into that and let you know.
neither was I, so.
Okay.
Anyone else? Anyone from the public would like to speak?
Michelle Dixler?
Please.
I'm going to yield.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You
sir.
can you're welcome to come back up, Mr.
Okay,
Prado.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you for making this louder. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Pull the microphones down.
this one?
Yeah, that one, that's the one.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I have a bunch of questions, and I'm not sure how this works, but I will ask them.
Please.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to hear us. Okay, on page 2 of the public hearing announcement, right up at the top, it says, the cost to a typical one- or two-family home in the district for the first year of service, including the cost of water, operation and maintenance, and debt repayment. What does that mean? What is debt? I thought we weren't paying anything. What is debt repayment?
Mr. Prado, just want to...
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're reading from.
I'm reading-
There's no debt repaid. There is no debt.
I'm
There is no
reading
debt
from-
at this time. They said typical.
I'm reading from the
The
order
article.
calling for public hearing,
Yep.
right up at the top.
Yeah, that language, I believe, I didn't prepare that, but I believe that language is taken from the statute. There's a portion of the statute that says the controller has approval, shall I?
Yeah, I guess you
So
should.
we'll share this.
Okay.
The controller has approval over certain district formations when the cost to the average homeowner, which includes those 3 items, exceeds a certain level. In this district, there is no debt. It's only the operation and maintenance, and there's no connection charges, there's no other charges. It's only the charges for the consumption of water.
Okay.
And just so you know, those are below the controller's threshold.
Okay, good. All right, in terms of size of the homes, my house is a legal two-family residence. It is being used as a one-family. We've lived there for 39 years, but I believe I probably am paying extra taxes to have it as a two-family. And I kept it that way because I thought, it would have...
What number are you at?
45. It's a two-family house.
Okay.
So, when we have these connections, Mr. Trotter, when we have these connections, although you implied that you thought only 2 houses would be hooking up, I believe the hookup charge or adding a house is something like $25,000 later. There's no charge within the first 6 months. So, what if I want to hook up?
Now?
Yeah. Right. Why would I not want to hook up? I mean, if I'm going to pay some outlandish amount later.
No, I think you would want to hook up.
Oh, okay. It
Yeah.
sounded before like there were only 2
Well, I know there were
people
2
without. That's
No,
the biggest need.
That's right. So we know that they're going to want to hook up right away. Everyone else that lives in the proposed district, we don't know what their wishes are.
Okay.
They haven't told us that they want to hook up. All we're saying is, we'd like to encourage people to hook up, and that's why we're providing that if they do it within 6 months, it won't cost them anything.
Okay.
We do want them to hook up.
So I have a 2-family house. Do I have 2 hookups? Or is there some kind of convertible or apparatus that is going to allow, I can legally have another family there if I want.
You have, are they separately metered? Will they be separately metered?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
You're gonna-
Right now.
If you're going to have one water line
Yeah.
and 1 meter,
Well, if it's a 2-family house, wouldn't you put in 2 meters?
You can.
Yeah.
well,
In
You
case.
can.
you certainly may. That would be your
Well, I don't
choice.
want to do it 5 years from now and maybe
Mrs.
another.
Dixon, can I just ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you have an accessory apartment, or do you have a full,
We use the full house.
right,
There is remnants
right?
of,
You have
a
like a
little-
bi-level, or,
no, it's a
No.
center hall colonial.
Oh, okay,
My house
yeah,
is
yeah.
147 years old.
oh, yeah,
So
I know which house you're
it's
talking about,
that
I'm
yellow
sorry, yeah.
house there.
Yeah, yep.
Right, so
Big stone
it
house,
was
yeah.
used, in fact, we have someone who lived there, the Hipsmans lived there on 1 floor a long time ago, probably 50 years ago. And
Boy, I bet you're glad you got rid of them finally.
well, I've been there for
Sorry, Gene.
only 39 years, right, it's a long time. All right, so you're saying that there is a possibility that if somebody already has a 2-family house, that they would get 2 meters? How does that?
If the person that owned the property wanted to have separate meters, then you would need 2 meters. Yeah. Your question really, I think, is
Billing.
what's it going to cost you for connection, right? Because we're saying in our map plan and report that all single-family residences we are connecting for free. And your question is, well, wait, I'm a 2-family residence. How much are you going to charge me? That's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
And I will find out for you.
I would say the answer is nothing.
Yeah, I would also.
Well, if she's gonna need 2 meters, there may be more
as she
things
does it in the
involved
6
than
months.
just.
I don't know, I don't.
Yeah, but here's
6
what'll
months
happen,
later-
if you get to 2 meters, okay? The house is only gonna draw and use X amount of water,
Right.
regardless of the 2 meters. So either meter B, which would be for the second part of the house, if you're not using any water, or if that's to a meter that is, I guess, closed off, okay? It will show up as a 0 or maybe a $1 fee, probably per month, I'm just making a number up. So if it becomes, say, $1 for a service fee for just having that meter there, until you decide to hook that up, now you have a second apartment there and it starts drawing water,
Could be
then
in
those
the
people are
future.
going to charge you a separate water amount. Should you sell the house and the new operators only want to, keep it there, then they have the option to use that meter. I guess there'll be a small, I'm just assuming a service.
John?
I don't know.
John, traditionally, do you have one main in houses that have 2 water meters? Is it possible to have?
Probably one service line coming in
coming in.
for the most part, and then they
Right,
split
and
it
then
up on
split
2
it up.
meters.
Okay.
you
And
know,
it's gotta
you
be
know.
split
And
onto
if
2
that's gonna
meters.
be an inch line, I mean, that's a pretty good sized line.
Yeah,
Most of our residents, I think, are 3/4.
right, okay.
So you still got enough pressure and you'll be fine.
Okay, all right. You mentioned disconnection of wells. All right, that's another possibility, that you leave the connection and you also,
That wouldn't be permitted by the health requirements.
All right,
There has to be separation.
all right, you're not destroying the wells.
No, you just
No.
have to disconnect from it.
And that would be done by the people installing everything.
They could.
Well, somebody has to disconnect
That's
it.
correct.
Right, okay. All right. I would like to know from the town of Monroe what kind of oversight will be done over this whole thing.
While they're constructing it?
Not only while they're constructing, but my understanding from people who live in Curious Joel is that there are some difficulties with the water bills, collection of water bills. There's all kinds of issues, all right? I don't know that they have regular meetings like we have here, where things are relatively open. I want to know what Monroe will be able to supervise, in other words.
I will say probably not much unless it's in the IMA, which we will ask that there are some sort of parameters in place so
What
that
is
there
the-
is some protection. The IMA is the intermunicipal agreement that we will
Oh,
have
okay.
for the water district. But I'll defer to council here.
Since this is a water district, it's really, the water district is the one that would be responsible, and they have certain laws that they have to follow as well. The town can negotiate through the IME, as the supervisor mentioned, to see if they can have some leeway as well as some oversight, but it would be something that they'd have to agree on.
I think we
the
would.
town's demonstrated that we are involved with this.
You
if
definitely
there's-
are
if there's
involved now.
Issues with it, I'm sure we'll be involved in the future, so.
We, hate to bother you again, but
it's
we
not a
still,
bother.
we
You're not-
live in the town of Monroe, and we hope that it stays just the town of Monroe.
Listen,
And
the
that,
only thing you're getting is water from there. You're still in the town.
yeah, I mean, this is water that is ours.
Did you want, Mr. Prada wanted to?
Yes,
If I
sure.
could just add something.
Yeah.
What we're proposing is that we're going to have a contractual relationship with the water district. And it's a town water district. So the town is going to have complete say in how we deliver services. If they're not happy with the way the district is receiving services, the district will be able to tell us, the provider, hey, fix the problem. Okay, so,
Well, that's good.
yes.
Okay.
And
That-
to the
that
extent
sounds
there's any
good.
ambiguity, that we will button it down in the IMA so that there is no confusion about that.
Okay, thank you.
Make a talk on your back.
All right.
We always do.
Okay, thanks again for staying on top of this.
Thank you.
And we are looking forward
you.
to the first shovel.
All right,
So
thank you.
so are we.
Not of snow, but of getting this in the ground and getting it done.
And I will
right
tell
away.
you, I believe Mr. Prada is looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone wants this whole thing to
We want to get this
end and
resolved
to
as quickly as
stop.
possible.
And, there are 2 homes that have none. And by the way, the house at 46 Old Country Road got its water in 2017. Because she had no, that was Mrs. Dillon, she had no water whatsoever. So we came before there. The other house, my understanding is that it was given water because an easement was needed to run the pipe through their property. So they've had water many, many years. Will we all be paying the same water rate?
Yes.
Yep.
Everyone in the district?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay, and I
Okay.
like the idea of the 4 years. I mean, it is our water.
Well, we totally agree with you.
we're gonna try.
We can't argue with that. We will do our very best
Yeah.
there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, I have one more question for Mr. Trotter.
Yes,
We were talking about people who have their own wells. Does Palm Tree Kiristol have a cross-connection law on their
Yes.
books?
yeah, so,
Does it allow for some backflow devices?
yes, it requires backflow prevention and requires disconnect of the private well.
Because maybe the resident would still be able to use that well water, in limited quantities for their garden and not connected to the public supply?
That I'd have to take under advisement. I don't believe we can authorize that.
If there's a backflow interrupter, possibly.
I don't-
I would kind of be interested to see what their law states.
I will find out for you
Okay.
and let you know. I'm not sure the Department of Health will allow us to do that.
I think
but
it depends
I
on
will-
the type of device.
I will inquire.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Jacob
Bickle.
Pickle?
Mr. Bickle?
Mr. Bickle?
Try to back up. Thank you. Oh, you can, listen, you can still use this one. That's fine. Yeah, listen, me and Sal are doing fine here.
Yeah.
We
actually like
each other. Yeah, we're
Well,
close.
it was
We're
working
close.
when Ward
Yeah,
was
let's,
speaking.
let him
Just
use
leave
that. Just
Yeah,
use that
we
for
won't
now,
move this
George.
along.
Yeah. Thank you, George.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
First question is,
Name?
Libby Bickle from
Where you
34 Old Country Road.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for the
Don't
record.
hold ahead.
Oh, sorry. First question is, after 4 years having free water, why the rate should not be the same as in KJ? Because we got heard from them, from their wells. Why should not paying outside user rates, not the same rates in KJ?
If you want to pay outside user rates, you're going to pay more.
They're asking for outside user rates. The rate today in KJ is 3.9. They're asking.
Well, they're not, you're not in the village of KJ or Palm Tree, so you're outside of their.
Yeah, but we're not asking for a favor for water. They just steal our water. So it should be minimum as fair to be the same rate all the time, minimum as KJ. After the
All right.
4 years.
We'll take it under advisement. I get your thought there now.
And the second question is, I live in Tomm, Monroe. I just actually moved out in KJ to be as a town residence. I don't want to even have a problem with water to call in KJ to walk into the loop to complaints. I would be very comfortable to call in Tomm, Monroe, Bob, or wherever the highway department for maintenance or questions for with billing. I'm not comfortable to call in the village for billing. I don't want to deal with the village. Or even its service, they're gonna act the same way they did act in time today. I don't know so many people living with a tanker of water for 1 year and declined for 4 years. It is a problem. So I'm gonna call in later with a problem. What's gonna be the response? I will be more happy. I'm in town of Monroe. I need the service in town of Monroe. I don't need service in KJ. Sorry for the impression.
Listen, I'll defer to council. I don't know if that's negotiable in the contract, but I will tell you that unfortunately, it's not, we don't own the water system. KJ owns the water system. So there are some aspects that you're gonna have to, give a little on because you're getting water. There's no water close to you, whether it's the village or it's the town, that can be supplied.
Okay, but this is a point that I would like the town should work with KJ. I don't know how, but I'm not gonna be.
And I gotta be honest with you, for liability reasons, I don't wanna be working on their lines. Because if something goes wrong, then it falls on me.
Okay, and also the rates. Again, I know it's only a proposal. They are allowed to change the rates, but every one of the points of the proposal, they can change their rates, but their board meetings. So if I have a complaint or have any comment, do I need to go to them, to town or to Palm Tree, or I'll be able to come here and complain? What I mean to say is, not only also after the 4 years, the town of Monroe should be in charge and see what's going on. They should not be able to change the rates.
Libby, unfortunately, if there's a disagreement that you have with KJ, and that's the sense I'm getting here, you have to work that out with them. We can't be the referee for everything. So going forward, I don't know the answer to that, other than it's not, we don't own the water district. KJ owns the water district. And if to be honest, if it was me coming in as the water district owner, or this town that was coming in, we would be looking to protect, our town water as well.
Again, if something was to happen and KJ was said in the next year was boosted up to some astronomical number, there's legal recourse for that. If the town's going to get involved, there's certain legal limits that they can only increase it by. So I don't, as far as the maintenance of it, it really is, it's going to fall on. And I'm not even sure if they have a water department or if they use a private company for doing that. But however they service water lines and things like that, that would fall on them.
Right. Mr. Pickle, let me just answer something a little bit more direct. And I'm just going to make up a scenario. You're paying $6, whatever it is today, and say 5 years from now they decide to double the rate. They cannot do that arbitrarily. That's a state law. So now you're going to the Department of Health because water is a necessity. They cannot do that without first going through the state. So in other words, they can't just turn around and say, well, guess what? Tomorrow we decided to change your rate to $12 and not $6. They can't do that. They have a set rate. Before there's an increase, it has to go through, I believe, the Board of Health, and it has to be approved by the state. They just can't do that arbitrarily.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming again. Anyone else?
That's all that's signed up.
That's all signed up? Okay. Anybody else from the board? So I'd like to make a motion to keep open the public hearing for the Old Country Road Water District.
I'll second that, please.
I think there's too many things dangling out there that we
lot of loose
can't
ends.
close this.
Yeah, I was going to say the next part of this is really, you're going to draft an IMA, Mr. Trotter, and get it to our attorney, and we're going to work on it from there.
I think Brian has already started one.
Okay, all right, great,
So-
awesome.
But between now and your next meeting, I'll reach out to Brian and try to coordinate.
Yeah, we'll work on some of these finer points that were brought up here this evening.
Forgive me, I apologize.
That's okay.
Between now and the next meeting, I'll also provide the answers for the various questions that have come up this evening, so you'll have them. for
And
your-
as soon as we can expedite this, because
Yes, I understand the
winter,
construction.
I just,
Urgency.
right, please.
I understand, and I will do what I can to try to expedite that.
Thank you, sir.
As I said, I think the most practical way to do it would be to provide some kind of incentive for the contractor to finish fast.
Okay.
Thank
And just so you know, we had spoken briefly last time, but there's costs that the town is going to bear here that we're expecting to be reimbursed
You
for.
will be.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes. If
I know you
make-
said that when you were speaking, I just want to
Yes,
put it on the record.
absolutely. Yeah, the town is, we don't expect the town to incur any expense.
Okay.
Whatever expense you do incur for your attorney, your engineer, et cetera, we
Right.
will be reimbursing you for.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, you too.
Cheers.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Appreciate it.
Okay, tonight,
Do we,
We have to
Mr.
call a...
Supervisor, we still have to set the date and the time
Yes.
for the continuation.
you want to do it on December 9th?
Yep, what time? 20 after?
7:20. So I'll make a motion to keep the public hearing open regarding Old Country Road Water District, December 9th at 7:20.
I'll second that.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Good eye.
Again, aye. Okay, thank you. Tonight, we're joined by our county executive. This is the first time he's back in Monroe at a meeting no, wait, let me finish. From his deployment in Afghanistan, and I'm sorry, Iraq, And on behalf of the board, we would like to commend you and thank you for your service. And we really appreciate what you do, not only for the country, but for our county. So thank you very much, Steve.
Hey, Steve, thanks.
So, this is the second time. First of all, did you guys get notice out for this? I've never seen a meeting this light here. This is great. It's back to like when I ran the town in Chester. But just a quick thing. About 2 weeks ago, the town of Minnesink invited me by to talk to their town board. So I came last Monday, and it was a great meeting. So I addressed the town board, took questions from the town board, took questions from the audience. We talked about all different things out there, good, bad, and different, what was on people's minds. So I ran into Councilman McGinn, and I said, this is a great idea if you want to do it. He invited me. So if you guys are being tortured by me, I apologize. And the supervisor agreed to it. I'll keep it real quick. I just want to hit on a couple quick things that are going on in the county, and then I'll just shut up and take questions from you. I bought a map with me. I can't give it to you, but I'll show it to you. And it's regarding the Heritage Trail. And I have to blame the town supervisor. Yesterday we saw the cardinal, and he told me not to wear a tie. So I wore a tie anyway, because I was told when you go to church you wear a tie. I show up tonight, everybody looks like they're ready to go out on the date. So I want to hit on a couple quick things. First off, Pete Toohey's here, our county legislator. I don't say this about everybody. I do say to other legislators, you should be more like Peter. He's been a godsend, a real big, good partner of mine, and I'm not blowing sunshine up his backside. I don't say this about every legislator, and he'll tell you that. So Pete's a great partner. This year, we have an over $800 million budget, so we're approaching $1 billion in spending in the county government. It's about 90-something% of our county is all mandated stuff. If you asked me when I ran for county executive, all the different things that we ran, it never came up in a debate. All the different levels of social services, you name it. We have 38 different departments that do all sorts of stuff. Not the things you normally think of, like public safety and roads, but a number of other things. So anyway, the county legislature has, they always massage the budget. They usually always add spending. I'm not trying to beat them up, but it's a big budget, and they add a little bit, and it's always a fraction of a change. So the great job, the great power of being a county executive, which is just the best job in the county. I was town supervisor, so I know what you were going through, Mr. Cardone, and I was a town councilman too, so I know what the rest of the board's going through. But the county executive really controls the spending. So the legislature can make changes to the budget, which increases spending, but the county executive decides January 1st whether to go forward with some of those. So of the $2.5 million in recommended increases in spending, I could sit and not spend any of it. Or I can get into a political back and forth haymakers and say I'm going to veto this, and then they got to drum up a super majority. So I think I'm just going to stick it in my pocket and decide what I think we should spend or not. I'm the youngest guy there, and I think I'm the most conservative guy fiscally, but for $2.5 million out of an $800 million budget, it's not that big of a change. And I think the legislature and I have a good relationship, Democrat, Republican. So that's where the budget is. Sales tax, I have your numbers on me right now if you wanted to go into it. And I also have Woodbury. I also have Town of Palm Tree. And they're all pretty tight going into this year's. The sales tax numbers aren't what they used to. They're not going up in the same rate as they were as previous years. Last year was actually a dip from the year prior. So the increases are still going up, but not in the bigger percentages as they were. And I think we're going to continue to see that as we go into a presidential election. A lot of investors are going to be a little bit skeptical. You don't know where the presidential race is going on. There's a lot of drama going on. I don't need to tell you that. So I think that the more conservative we are in budgeting, the better. And I know you guys are probably finalizing your budget if you haven't already now. And I have the Village of Monroe's rates as well. So these are all things that I'm being very cautious of. And one of the things that I did when I was town supervisor is I tried not to budget any increase in sales tax for the following year. And anything we got additional went towards our fund balance because we have to keep a healthy fund balance. The other thing I wanted to talk about with you guys is public safety, real quick. Public safety, I'm the incident commander for the county. We're always doing drills. One of the things that we're in the process of doing right now is rolling out the new 7800 communication system. These are fancy radios that were mandated by the federal government after 9/11. What does it do? It improves interoperability. So what the county did when I became county executive, it's a big ticket item. It's close to $40 million. Every fire department, every police department, every ambulance corps, some of the highway departments all got this new radio system. If they had them now, we replaced them on a one-to-one basis. So if you had 20 handhelds, we bought you new 20 handhelds. And if you had 2 base units and mobile units for vehicles, why does it matter? And why did we spend the money on it? The reason why we spent money on it is some districts, fire districts, towns, villages, cities are poorer than others or just don't have the ability to buy the system. So the system only works if everybody's in it together. So we're rolling that out now. It also costs a lot of money. We had to get towers all over the county to improve services. So that's in the process of happening now. So far it's been okay, but it's a huge turnover. So just be prepared for that. Open space. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the governor today vetoed the town of Chester's bipartisan bill. It was passed in the Senate and the Assembly to create an open space fund. Basically, it's funded by when a piece of property is for sale. So let's say P2, he sells his house, a fraction of the percent of that sale goes towards an open space fund that the town has to negotiate. Why is that important? I'm making a major push for open space preservation in Orange County. We've had a very strong record. It's going to get stronger now. I'll give you an example. In the town of Chester, we're looking at preserving a very big, very important piece of property right now. If I mention it to you, it would be in the headlines, but I think you guys probably can read between the lines what we're talking about. It's not involved with a lawsuit. So I want the town of Chester is negotiating, as well as the Orange County Land Trust and the Open Space Institute, to try to purchase this land. I know the town board wants to do stuff too, but my rule, and I think the county legislature, who also controls this money with me, is going to want the towns to put something at the table. So if there's a piece of property that the town board is interested in preserving for whether open space or parks or whatever, we want you guys to come up with some money. If it's $1 million job, you don't have to put $900,000. The Land Trust and the Open Space Institute and the county will all come together with you on it. So we might have to find another way to fund this, because let's say the town of Monroe, if you guys are thinking about this, the governor could veto yours as well. New Paltz has a similar law. We're trying to see if he vetoes that. If he vetoes New Paltz and Chester, it's not personal. If he vetoes Chester, it's personable, and I think it's because of some of the anti-Semitism accusations, and we know the type of development and the big lawsuits that's going on there right now. So just stay tuned for that. Last 2 quick things I'll be on is the Heritage Trail. We finished the Harriman portion over 1.5 years ago. Our biggest problem has been parking. So, excuse me a second, I'll move over here. So, everybody, the only reason why I bring this up is because at church last night, my name was mentioned that I was in the audience, so of course that brought people to me and saying, hey, I hate to bring this up in church, but. So one of the individuals that came up to me is from Harriman, and he said, I love the Heritage Trail, but how the heck do I get on it? There's no parking. And if you go by the commuter lots in Monroe, where you have designated parking for the park, commuters are parking there. So it is a problem, definitely for the southern part of the Heritage Trail. All the property around that is owned by some private entity that where the Heritage Trail is in Harriman. We originally were going to try to work with that industrial park. Somebody that was an owner there, it didn't work out. The guy didn't want to give us an easement. Then we tried to use the Village of Harriman has a water easement there that's owned by their water district. It was a complete nightmare, and it wasn't ADA accessible. And I'm not going to spend taxpayer money on a parking lot that most people can't access anyway. So on the corner of River and West Main is where we're going to have, it's going to be 7 spots. I know it's small, but we're starting. And you're going to have a little walk up here, and that's the best we can get. This is a map of it. I've seen it there physically. My best advice to you guys is to go out there and you'll see an excavator and a ton of big concrete blocks. They're about I think they're 8-foot blocks by 4 feet wide. So where we're going to build this whole thing on there. What's going to happen now, between now and probably Christmas, is we're going to be cutting that up, that area, putting the stone in there, putting those concrete blocks in place, and then next spring we're going to pave it. People are asking me why is it not being done sooner, is I'm trying to do things in-house. I told you a couple minutes ago I'm very conservative. Right now we're in negotiations to sell Camp LaGuardia, I think you guys all know who we're talking about that wants to buy it and build another thing that's going to have recurring income for sales tax for us and motel tax. But I have my parks department there doing demo work. So rather than contract the project out for $100,000, we're doing it in-house. So it is what it is. So the last thing I'll say is tourism. What you've seen over the last couple of years, we're collecting about $3 million in hotel motel tax. Before I was county executive, that money was just meant to plug up the budget, just like when we were told in the 80s that the lotto, when it was approved, was going to pay for all our school's budget. Never did. It went towards balancing the budget. So when I took office, the hotel motel money was being used to balance the county budget. I said that was taken by hotel owners for guests that were staying there in the auspices of being used for tourism. Never was. So anyway, we're weaning ourselves off of that, and we're spending well over $1 million now towards tourism. And what is that going towards? Radio ads, TV, direct mail, all sorts of stuff like that, so people want to come and visit our county. Now, it's not just the big things like West Point or Woodbury Commons or Storm King, which are big visitors, but it's also small festivals, events like that. I think we had the Cheese Festival and the Food Truck Festival that you guys had this year. But if there's other things, we're also talking about with some of your historians about doing some things like that as well. So if you have those in mind, or if you have an idea, just let us know. Half the things that get put on that tourism list are from town board members or town supervisors that said, hey, we got this in our community, why aren't we being advocated? So that's pretty much all I have for you, and let's hear from you guys, some questions from you. Where are we missing? What can we do? Complaints?
First of all, thank you very much for coming. We're glad to have you here, and this is a much more quieter crowd than we had a couple years back.
No armed guards.
Yeah. We're happy to have this as opposed to the circus that it was.
As somebody who grew up in Monroe and went to Monroe Woodbury, I'm happy to see this as well.
Yeah, well, we all are. But just, I'm with the sales tax, I mean, I'm just trying to, wrap my head around that with the commons, the economy, it would seem that the sales tax would be going up.
It is, but it's not at the rate. So I think it's at 1 and something %, and it's less than it was the year before. And you have to look at all these crazy things in here. There's less shopping period this year than last year. It's closer to Christmas on Black Friday than it is in prior years, right, because of the way that the months add up. So that 1 week of less shopping, even though I know half the guys in here are like me to shop the last couple days, it's still less time. The more that you spend in the store, the more likely you are to spend on a product. So, but it also goes back to the national economy. There is going to be buyers and investors that are going to be skeptical because of the presidential election next year. It's just the way it is. They're going to beat the heck out of each other. I'm trying not to curse. I'm a Navy guy, yeah. but I also have to tell you, I'm probably one of the youngest guys here. I will tell you, I've seen the trends, and we've seen the trends of the economy. And this is the message I try to drum home to my legislators, because when the economy isn't going to be this strong, we're not going to have those sales tax out. We've had dips in sales tax. I don't think you guys were on the board. Any of you were on the board. Maybe Rick was. But we had a dip from in 2008 that was catastrophic, millions and millions for each community. So that's why I always try to tell not only the legislature but other town supervisors. I'm at every monthly meeting, and I try to give advice to them on it, because your financial planners will tell you the same thing. Don't bank on all this sales tax. So I hate to tell you it, Mike. I'd love to tell you it's going to be great. And look, the Woodbury Commons is expanding. They're looking at 2 hotels there. Legoland isn't online yet. It's going to be online next July. We have 1,000 brand new hotel rooms coming on 2020. That's a lot of rooms. We have new companies that are coming here. So all those trends look positive, but if we lose a couple of businesses too, which we do. I got a couple before I left my office today, companies that are just naturally leaving because the economics aren't what they wanted here. So it's almost like, I hate to say, like a game of whack-a-mole, but as soon as you bring this company here, another one's threatening to leave. And, economic development is a very full contact sport right now, especially in New York.
Anyone else?
I wanted to say Dave Church is retiring.
Yeah, it's a real bummer. Let me tell you, Dave Church has been a very strong balance between developers and the open space preservation people. And he has, I don't know if you guys remember, new county executive, me, from this area, says, let's have a public hearing in Woodbury to hear what's on people's mind. And like 1,000 people showed up there. And it was like pouring out. You know, some politicians showed up to throw haymakers, but most of the people were like concerned about overdevelopment. Dave Church was there with me collecting those arrows. So he is a huge loss, Mary. And the reason why we advertise him leaving is because, first of all, he is leaving, but two, it opens the door for people to apply for his job, because people aren't going to apply for his job if they know he's staying here. So it's we talked about this, him and I. How are we going to do this? He'll stay as long as I need him to for, you know, it's not like he's leaving exactly December 25th. He's gone, Christmas done. He said he'll stay and help me with a transition, but we are definitely actively looking. He is looking to retire very early after the new year. So please shake the trees and the bushes, and he's just a great guy, and I'm really sad to see him go, but he deserves it.
Yeah, I've worked with him in the past, and I feel your loss. I really do.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty honest, fair guy, and he's been able to navigate through some really crazy storms. You know, and he doesn't, you know, he just keeps his cool. He's very, I could say a ton about him. I'm sorry, Mary.
He's been here a few times during our contentious meetings, so you're absolutely right. Steve, you know, we know each other a long time, and I besides thanking you for your sacrifice and everything else, but most of all, thank you for keeping a conservative eye on the expenditures of this county, because whenever there's a pullback, okay, it's important to have that built in, that mindset.
Yeah.
And whenever there's a little bit extra, I know I'm a Democrat, I shouldn't say this, but whenever they get a little bit of money in the pot, they're too anxious to spend it. And that fund balance is very important. It's been important for this town. We fight like heck to keep that fund balance. And a shout out for Tony and the rest of the board members and our finance department that worked so hard. We lost a good, third of or quarter of our revenues, and we didn't have nearly the increase that was expected or projected for us, because we had to be very mindful of each and every nickel spent in this town. So I want to thank you for keeping an eye on that for the county, because it affects all of us.
Thank you. And, you know, it's a difficult thing to explain to the public that you have to keep this rainy day fund. When I was a town supervisor, Chester, people are like, well, that rainy day fund was built on me today, but you're saving it for future, and it seems kind of unfair. Moody's gave us an upgrade this year because we had, they try to keep a barometer between 5% and 7% is what's recommended by Moody's and the comptroller's office. I think we're at 7% now in the county, but as I told you, the more spending we get every year, the more that fund balance has that number to keep it at that 5 to 7%. But it is critical, and a lot of you guys were here, or some of you guys knew what was going on. Rick, you were probably at the table, and when we had that bad economy in 08, and I told my legislature today, I mean not today, but this year when I gave my budget address, if we don't have the sales tax money, we bring in a ton of sales tax money. We don't have those numbers, where are we cutting? Because you want to propose me hiring 20 more people here or there, or spending $2.5 million extra this year than next year, or into next year's budget. What happens if we don't have that money? So that's why it's great to be county executive, where you have that discretion, and you can say, hey guys, I don't think we should go forward on this, and here's why. And nobody's ill-minded, but you always have to keep that in the back of your mind, and nobody wants to hear, hey Rick, why are you not letting us spend this?
You know, it keeps the rainy day a little bit better than turning into a full-fledged storm.
Yeah.
So, you know, people have to understand, you're paying it today, but it's going to help a heck of a lot when you need it tomorrow. So I wish a lot of people would do that, even with their own personal budgets as well.
I've been to 4 of Steve's budgets, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And I will tell you that the conservative nature that he follows has taught me a little as well.
Now we know where you get it from.
Yeah, sorry.
And I will say this. I think we should all admire the fact that last year, while he was in Iraq, he was on live feed into the 9/11 auditorium presenting the budget, and you nailed it. Yeah, that's right. Yes,
I think they had low expectations because I was there. They're like, you're just saying hello, but
what time was it there?
It was 2 a.m. All
right, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but it was a great. Let me tell you, I've said this, and Tony, you, and Sal, and the rest of these guys have heard this before. But we had 200 plus Orange County residents, some people from Monroe, that were in Iraq or in Afghanistan. When you get there, they just basically disperse you around the Middle East to where they need you. But there's a lot of men and women that were from our community. Not one of them, thank God, was passed away. There were people that were injured. So one of them is one of our deputies who's got seriously injured in Afghanistan. But he'll make a full recovery. But so I was lucky to be with those men and women there, and they all make you proud. And so that's where we are with the budget. We keep going back to that, but I'm not trying to be a doomsday prepper, but you guys, just like me, sometimes have things that come up. This year, the big drama in the newspaper is the bail changes, right? That's coming out from Albany. Some of the increases that the legislature added was increased personnel to the DA's office. I gave them like 1 or 2 positions. They gave them like 5 because they're worried, and that costs money. A district attorney doesn't just cost $75,000 salary. It's like a $50,000 benefits package. So those are the things that you don't expect, and the town does too. What if something breaks or something catastrophic happens? You never know. So that's why we do what we got to do.
Or you have to pay off a $3.5 million lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Don't remind me, it hurts.
But look, every town.
Just saying, without any county aid.
I think you guys, just like every town.
Previous board, that is.
Yes.
Rub my nose in it, will you, fellas?
But every town goes through this. Yeah. And look, town of Deer Park was on the verge of bankruptcy. Gary Spears turned around. Middletown had major financial problems. Joe DeStefano turned that around. The town of New Windsor and the town of Montgomery just had a major family feuds. They're having a major turning over of Newtown boards. Town of Chester had their entire board up this year, so they go through these, and a lot of them are in lawsuits over one thing over another. Yeah. So you'll get through it, and you guys are in a lot better shape than look. City of Newburgh's on the verge of insolvency. Yeah. So you look at these other communities, and you inherit past decisions.
Yeah.
And the future is going to inherit your decisions.
Yep.
So,
well, thank you.
You take any more questions?
Well, I just want to say thank you for your assistance over the years. It's really appreciated.
Well, I'm honored to be here, and again,
yeah, it's been a great relationship.
I think Ward Brower's the only guy that's been back to the original meetings when I used to sit in the audience back in the day. So, and do you want me to take any questions from the audience or no? Anybody have anything for me? Get the hell out of here. You don't have a voice. You want to write it down?
No, don't encourage him. Don't encourage him.
No. What is the county doing about salt problem in Orange County Sewer District 1? Yes. That's a great question. So, it's funny. There's a huge increase in salt. I think everybody in this room knows what I'm talking about, the public. So basically, Orange County runs Orange County Sewer District 1. We do the maintenance on it, and there's an operator on it, and each one of the communities that pay into it have their own respective, and I think the new operator's doing a fantastic job. I think everybody's happy about him. And that's something back to what Mary's point with Dave Church. You don't know who's out there applying for the job until they know that you're serious about replacing an individual. So the new guy that took over for the old guy, I'm just using very generic terms, I think is doing a very good job and is a lot more open-minded to the municipalities than the previous one. I think my wife was about to go into labor with our first child, and we were at a town sewer meeting. I was the new town supervisor in Chester, and I remember the Orange County representative on the sewer board dropped F-bomb and said they'll go F themselves to the former town board members from other towns in Sewer District 1. So it was not a very good relationship. And if you want to go into the bowels of it, you can ask Mayor Welly, because he remembers, he was like, it was catastrophic. I had to leave. My wife's going through labor with our first kid, and these guys are having a major fight. So one of the major issues we have in southern Orange County in the sewer system collection area is the high amounts of salt that are coming from a poultry productivity center, whatever the hell you want to call it, factory. We have, over the years, been asking that facility to put different types of post-treatment before they put it into our system. Has not happened. The county reported it to the EPA. What does the EPA do? And the DEC, they fine the county. So we're not putting the salt into the system, but they're like, look, you run the system regardless of who's contributing to it. So it's a major issue right now. We're trying to negotiate it without a lawsuit, but it is really, the county gets blamed for it. And to me, it's completely unfair and unacceptable. We have other users in the county, industrial users, that put things into sewer systems that have to post-treat. The fact that we are being blamed because a manufacturer won't do that is really unacceptable, and the county taxpayers are getting hit on it. So it is a great question, and that's where it is right now. Yes, sir?
Isn't there a way to post-treat that where you could use that liquid brine for your roads?
Absolutely. You could do all sorts of stuff with it. You could do a lot of different things with it, but right now, I'm not going to put any other municipal leaders on the spot, but there's other municipalities that say that their wells were destroyed or contaminated from it because of the high salt, and it's a huge problem. And I think what it comes down to is one thing: equal treatment and equal responsibility for all. So if no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, and no matter how you look, if you're contributing negatively towards that system, you have an obligation, in my opinion, to do the right thing, just like anybody else would. And that's not being done right now.
I hear you.
So, any other questions? Yes, sir. It's good to see you. How you doing? We're good to see you. Thank you.
Safe trip back.
Good to see you.
My pleasure. Question on the sewer. We have not addressed this. California has started to address it decades ago. That is not just processing it, but recycling it.
Yeah.
Why aren't we go? Because we're running out of streams to pollute and rivers to pollute. We just need to bite the bullet. You know, in California, some places they've recycled 7 times. But if you could take it where you truly process it, then pipe it back in to the aquifer where it then filters back in.
This is a great point, and right now the county is doing a major study on sewer in Southern Orange County. It's going to impact you guys directly, Chester directly, Blooming Grove, some part of them, and Woodbury. So one of the problems in Orange County and any older North New England place is they have combined systems, and that's happening in Orange County, where you have rainwater put in with sewer water. That off the bat should be separated and treated. Makes it a lot easier. City of Newburgh has a notorious problem for that. So when it rains out, it overflows their sewer treatment plant. And I think we can all agree that rainwater, even though it might pick up some oils and stuff that are on the streets, could have a different system on there. Ward brings out some great points that's been done in other counties and other states where you can recycle these waters. We see that in some of the theme parks that are using less water. They're treating it on site and reusing it, separating the gray water. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen. Now's the opportunity for it, because the county is going through a major study. They're going to have a number of public hearings. There's a lot of talk. I mean, I'm not talking out of school here, where we're discharging, like Ward says, I'm a big trout fisherman, in the Ramapo River. And we had discussions on this last week. So how do we grow? Because we're almost at capacity. Chester's almost at capacity. You guys are either at or just about at a capacity. Do we discharge more, or do we treat better and discharge less in the Ramapo? There's talk back from the Heimbach administration. This is the county executive back in the 80s. They had an easement running through from the plant through Woodbury into Cornwall. I don't know how far it went, but they actually did some physical work running a sewer line to the Hudson River. Why? Because the Hudson River is an easier place to discharge than a Class C trout stream, whatever Ramapo is. So right now, there's going to be major discussions, I think, in the next few years that are going to set the future of Orange County development, and that's going to be mainly the lifeblood of any development, water and sewer. So anybody else? We're good? County legislator, you're good?
I'm just going to add one more thing.
Come up to the mic, please.
When you talk about the salt going down, and it's from the just the normal instances, the DEC, they actually we just happen to be next to New York State Thruway. How many acres are there that aren't? So they're trying to pin a lot of the extra salt. There's no other mentions of any industry or anything, but it's mainly the normal concerns. and that we get hit harder because of the New York State Thruway. So I just
Yeah.
want to add that in too.
And there is some truth in Montgomery, for instance, on 84. Some wells on 84 have been destroyed from salt contamination over the years. So there is some truth to that. So that does get blamed, but there is, I think, clear and convincing evidence for us that the salt plant, if you stopped it, if they stopped producing for 2 days, you would notice a difference, and that's how you know. Yeah, exactly. So so that's pretty much where we are. So if anybody else had any questions, follow-ups, we're good? Okay. Well, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anytime you guys want me back, I'll come back. Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Steve.
Happy to have you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Steve, very much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the motion to open the continuation of the public hearing for the ambulance and fire protection contracts.
I'll make that motion.
Can I second it? Cologne,
Sure.
second?
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, guys.
yeah, we can take it, yeah.
I'll leave this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at it.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, I'll bring it back to the office,
All right.
All right.
I'll get it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, guys.
You guys are up. Sorry to keep you waiting. Thank you for being here.
Quite an education.
Oh, listen,
Should always know Supervisor Cardone's never on. It's 7:30, right now, don't worry about it.
I should
But
say,
you're on Sully time tonight.
No,
Yeah.
jeez.
yeah, as if he's always on time.
Yeah. I was here on time.
No, not, you weren't to the mic on time.
Well, you didn't call me.
I don't have to call you, you should've just came up.
He was here on time because he was with me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So state your name for the record, please.
Tom Sullivan, Chairman of the Board of Fire Commissioners.
Richard Goldstein, Treasurer, Monroe Joint Fire District.
Okay. So I asked you to come here tonight just so you could explain the fire district contract, the $6,500 contract, what the cost is associated with. I understand it probably 70-80%. I want the board to understand it.
All right, I'll let Richie explain, and then I'll answer any questions that you may want to take from there. He's the money man for the district.
Shocked. So basically, what the Monroe Joint Fire District has been going through for several years, actually since the inception, was dealing with an outside rate, a separate rate basically for workman's compensation. The reason that it was quoted that way with us is because the properties were not contingent. So these were the fingers that we're talking about, that we used to have a contract, we used to cover these fingers. The town paid us for several years, I forget what the amount was, I think it was $18,000 to cover these fingers. When Palm Tree was created, for some reason or another, they felt the need to leave out, I think it was 15 parcels, is it? Or it's 4 parcels?
It's 4 parcels, yeah.
Right. And just for the record, these parcels are on the bend of County 105 on the right-hand side. So because of that, the town of Monroe is forced, because they're in the town of Monroe is now forced to contractually have fire service for them, which contracting with us or any other municipality is going to put them in the same thing, which is an outside area contract. Currently, the outside area contract is costing us $5,597 just for workman's compensation for those 4 lots. So the Board of Commissioners, in going through everything and our costs and everything, we felt it was a reasonable amount to throw $6,500 out there, which would cover us for any other additional costs that go along with it. So that's pretty much how the Monroe Joint Fire District came up with the $6,500.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
No, I understand it.
Is there a remedy for this where they could fall into Palm Tree's district at some point, or does Palm Tree have a district?
The remedy would be for them to fall into
They'd have to annex the property.
into their district, but yes, they would have to
They'd
annex
have
the
to annex
property.
Part of the issue, Mike, is that they're tax exempt,
Right.
those
There's
4.
the synagogue, and
Yeah.
the school, or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
And
Cemetery or what
it's,
else.
yeah, and it's a different faction than
Yeah, right.
that
It causes
runs
more
KJ,
issues than
so-
So they didn't annex in with the rest of them? Is that
No,
basically-
and it was tried, there was discussions in the meeting we had
Right.
towards the end of it, but they wanted no part of it.
So there are town properties surrounded by palm tree at this
Yes.
point, or the
Yeah.
village?
Basically, they're the remnants of
any-
one of the
They're-
families.
they're
Other than
actually
the road,
beh-
is there any contingent?
No, they're
105?
actually behind the current
Yeah.
Moshe Yol
Right.
development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no,
The
so they're like an island, basically.
The problem is that it's not contiguous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it's not,
So that is the big problem. And because it's in the town of Monroe, the obligation then falls on this board.
Yes.
To protect the residents within the town of Monroe.
it's like the Vatican,
So,
Yeah.
kind of.
well, from our eyes.
Yeah.
We don't have many options.
All right, just trying to figure out how we get it off our hands. That's-
So, as much as we want to be reasonable to all the taxpayers and, be fiscally responsible, unfortunately, these are our actual costs.
Right.
You could get the state to cut out the workers' comp, it'd be fine. That's our biggest problem. That's
Right.
what we
That's the biggest cost of the whole thing.
It's the whole course, I mean, in all honesty, Mike, it's.
Yeah, and the comp works on population, but then there's a minimum charge.
Right.
So, right now, this population and this minimum charge is based on 15. So that's the minimum charge that they have, it's 100% of the area, they're saying 15 people. Versus the home area, they're saying 18,000, which we know is more than that, but that's what they put in there. So the minimum was set at 15. And believe me, I've gone back and forth with the insurance company on this and try to go around it in different ways we can do it, but because the insurance companies look at it as a contractual obligation, it then has to have a separate policy.
And yeah,
So
of
that's
course,
where
we
we
can't
stand.
tax them because they're a nonprofit to recoup it, yep.
Yep. Well, thank you for your service to the district and the town. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
And I
coming
will
by,
tell you,
James.
the board is very conscious of all the expenses. In our budget, we go through that budget, and we spend a lot of time on it, but the people in this community should feel very safe with the equipment that we, through you people and everyone, we're able to provide. And I think over the last, we're now coming into the 10th year of the district, and we've actually kept the costs down, and fire service, I think, is at an all-time high. And I like the report that all three fire companies working together is probably the best thing that ever happened in this town.
Absolutely.
Just
I'm
took too
45
long.
I'm 45, yes, I'm 45 years a member, and I remember back when, and just prior when John got there, it was not always peaceful. It's been a great, probably the best thing that happened here.
You're almost as old as that house Mrs. Bickle was talking
I
about.
know the house she was talking
Yeah.
about.
He helped build it.
Been in the house.
Our budget's down this year, too. I don't know if you noticed that. Just wanna point
Down?
that out. Yeah, we're down.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate with the level of professionalism and what
We take a lot of
fire
pride.
companies represent, and we're
And,
very
Ben-
fortunate as a town to have a district.
And we're fortunate to have a fellow like John Cherney, who's a chief.
That's a good point, too.
We're very, you gotta give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
And you know what?
It all starts at the top.
It does start at the top,
Yeah.
and leadership is a big part of it, and John's respected by the men, and it makes for harmonious work.
That's the key right there.
It is.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty sure it is.
was there an adjustment to the budget? Because the appropriation I had from last year was $2,029,000, and this year is $2,068,000.
I don't know, no, there was, I have a different number altogether. There must be adjustments there. You must have an old paper.
Check it tomorrow.
Let me see what you have.
I'll check it tomorrow.
Let me see what you have.
This is our budget.
Oh, okay.
This is the numbers we got originally, so.
I have the total, for you, actually, I do have your number. No, you can't go by, I'm saying our overall budget. You're looking at your line item for the taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that may have changed. I have no control over that.
He's talking
That's
on.
based on assessments and equalization.
That's your individual
That's just
budget.
the
That's
2
just
million,
fire.
the 2,027,000 number that you're looking at. That's just the money that's being raised by the town of Monroe taxpayer, but that's not our total budget. Our total budget is down.
Oh, okay, so there's revenues in there that I'm not probably
Well, yeah,
seeing
we have
there.
town of Woodbury revenue.
Town of Woodbury has to contribute.
So, But you're looking at just your one particular line item. And the reason why your line might be different or up over a prior year is because of your equalization rates, your assessments.
Okay.
So I have no control over that. I only have control over the final.
Can you email me that just to make sure? Because if I
yeah,
if I have to
you
amend
should,
the budget,
you should have something like this that was turned into you.
Yeah,
You should have the whole budget.
I'm pretty sure.
I'll try to call you with it today.
Today? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, right.
11:30, we'll be out of here.
Answer your phone, would you? Try it twice today. You didn't answer.
I'll email you.
Yeah, do that.
I'll send you a PDF.
I mean, that's what I had on the first one, but
Maybe a carrier pigeon, Rich. Maybe that might get it to the supervisor. All right, let's
Yeah,
let
all right,
these
let's-
gentlemen
go ahead,
go.
yeah.
Come on. Well,
We have
it's
something
not
else.
coming, it's
All
not
right,
coming
again,
up.
thank you.
Thank
And,
you. Thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Julie, thank you for
very
all
much.
you people
Appreciate
are doing
it.
for the town.
Best of the holidays to you and
Thank
the
you.
Enjoy
family.
the holiday.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Happy
Thanks.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay, one other item before we get into the, that's what I'm gonna do. Tom Lowe from,
Hey, Tom, we gotta either close or continue the.
oh yeah,
public hearing.
right. So we gotta continue it because the ambulance is not completed.
That's the answer, so we're
Yeah.
not, but we're good with the fire contract.
We're good with the fire contract, but we have to keep it
So
open
we
because
opened
of
it,
that.
Okay.
so we're gonna.
All right, so I'll
So-
make a motion that we keep the public hearing open and continue it till,
The ninth?
December 9th at 7, where are we at, 7:30 right now?
7:30.
7:30?
7:20.
I'll
Yep.
second that.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
We'll be right there.
Make it aye.
Okay, so moved. All right, sorry about that. So, Tom Lowe from, he's the Director of Operations for Towns for Troops. Do you want to come up and give a little presentation? Thank you for being patient. Sorry you had to wait so long.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Tom Lowe, and I'm the Director of Operations for Towns for Troops. We're a not-for-profit 501c3 corporation that is our sole purpose is to enhance the lives of the active military in the Hudson Valley area. Last year, we touched about 4,300 lives through 52 events. Our events range from as large as 800 airmen came back from deployment, and we put a barbecue on for them in one day. And as little as last year, we were able to make special arrangements with Santa Claus to come down from the North Pole and greet a Marine family just moving into the area. They were only in the area about 3 days before Christmas, and contributed a lot to the kids still believing in Santa Claus. He does exist. He came down from the North Pole for that special occasion. I made special arrangements with him to bring one of the stockings that our campaign is about. Every year we do a stocking stuffer campaign. Last year we sent out about 720 stockings. This year we're on mark to send out about 1,000 stockings. We've got collection sites all over the town. The collection sites are here in town of Monroe. We've got results-driven fitness down in the center of town. We've got Sacred Heart Church, St. Anastasia's Church, library, Woodbury Library. You see the box.
Senior Center.
I got one right out here.
Yep.
You see the boxes all over town. Star Liquors has a box for us. And what we do is collect the stocking stuffer contents, and we stuff our stockings. On Saturday, the 7th of December, we're going to the Patriot Club in Pine Tree, the elementary school students there.
Great organization.
Yeah, they last year they stuffed about 50 stockings for us. We're on target to do that again this year. And then we have Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts that participate in the program. Like I said, we're on target to give about 1,000 stockings out this year. Our main mission is to support the active military and augment their social needs in the Hudson Valley. We hit upon this idea about 6 years ago. It came about by Harriman Engine Company, a bunch of us talking about what can we do for active military. Little known fact that the military does not feed the folks except on deployment, but when they come back from a deployment, they go into Stewart Air Force Base, for example, they come back to an empty barracks. We have a program called rack packs. When they come back, we have a rack pack that goes on their bunk. It's called a rack. It goes on the pack, it's on the bunk. And it's got little sundries in there that just says, welcome home, thank you for your service. we want to make an impact on a statistic that's frightening. 22 active military and veterans commit suicide on a daily basis in this nation. It's because they don't feel connected. They don't feel connected to the community. They don't feel a sense of purpose. They don't know where to turn, and the best alternative they have is to kill themselves. We want to make an impact on that. It's a shame that this society doesn't take a more active role in it. We want to do our part to make a dent on that number. There should be no reason for those folks to feel forlorn and forsaken. We want to make them feel welcome. So any opportunity we can get to give thanks for what they do is an opportunity to perhaps do an intervention and save a life. So our stocking stuffers is our current campaign. You'll see the collection boxes around town. Please encourage your families, your friends, your relatives, anybody, even strangers you don't know, contribute to the pack. Some of the things that Santa Claus put in this one: chicken noodle soup for when they come back from deployment or whatever. We've got pens in case they want to write a letter home or something. We've got cocoa butter lip balm. Some candy in here. I won't go through the whole pack, but we got some candy and some writing materials and some other sundries that folks might enjoy as they come home. Our biggest event of the year is our Iron Chef competition. It's usually held in July, and it's the first responders against the military. As I said, it started 6 years ago from an idea that we had in the Harriman Engine Company. What can we do for these active military folks? And we hit upon a barbecue. And it was like this will be a lot of fun. My son and I was the team from the Harriman Engine Company, and they had a team from the Marines. It takes a year and a day to get a permission from the federal government to have a team come off base and compete against us, but we got that through. My son and I showed up about 10 o'clock with our charcoal smoker, and we pulled onto the scene, and the Marines were there with their NASA-centered, convoluted grill. And it's like, I turned to my son and I go, this is going to be more difficult than we expected. We lost. No, we didn't actually lose. We came in second. There was
Out of two.
Out of two, right. There was a panel of judges. There was 5 judges. They introduced the judges, and everyone that introduced themselves ended up with, "Hoo-yah, go Marines!" Except for Vinny Tancaselli, who said, "I'll remain impartial until I taste the food." We got 1 vote. But it was a good time, and everybody came up afterwards. We had about 50 people there. Everybody came up afterwards and said, "You can do this again?" We hadn't thought about it, but we did. 6 years later, we're still doing it. Last year, we had about 650 people through the gate, and this year we're looking to go 750, 800 people through the gate for the Iron Chef competition. And it's a lot of fun. We think the military deserve it, and we're doing our part to support them.
Is that a Black Rock again? Is that
Black Rock, yes.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Budrow won that last year, didn't he, John? Did John Budrow win that?
From the American Legion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all you do, Tom. We'll be helpful with,
Right.
the stockings and anything else you need in the future. We might have a couple ideas for you next fall.
Okay, great.
So,
Hey, Tom, thank you for everything you do on behalf
Yeah.
of the World Trade Center first responders, too. So.
Okay. That's my other hat.
Yeah, your other hat.
I'll come talk to the town board for another time. With
Please
the,
do come back whenever you
give you an
want.
up-to-date on the 9/11 program. We're still looking for responders that aren't in the program.
Yep.
We'd like to get them. We'd like to hold a forum in town of Monroe and get a public hearing going on to where are these folks and why aren't they signed up?
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thanks
good
a lot.
Thanksgiving.
Supervisor,
Yes.
I just need some clarification on the ambulance and fire contract.
Go ahead.
On my minutes, page 15, resolution number 497, the town board made a resolution to close the public hearing on the ambulance. You couldn't close the whole thing because it was grouped together in that public hearing with the sewer and everything.
Yeah, we amended it.
Well, yes, then you rescinded your prior motion, and you made a motion authorizing you to sign the ambulance agreement in a form approved by town council.
Correct. But that form, a leak, there were some changes that were made?
Yeah, I have notes from Brian, and he says that the ambulance corps appeared last time, but there were some contract changes that they
Right.
need to discuss with their councils.
Yeah, and their council has not gotten back to Mr. Nugent.
Correct.
So that's why it's still open?
That's why it's still
Okay.
open. Okay. A couple of announcements. First one is, Monroe Woodbury girls varsity soccer team won their second straight championship state title. They defeated Fayetteville Manlius 1-0 on November 17th to capture the title. We're currently working with them and the Village of Monroe to possibly have a parade. We have a tentative date, which is December 8th, but we're still waiting for confirmation from the school district and the team. So congratulations to them, congratulations to the girls, the coaches, and the district. 1 year is an accomplishment, 2 years is astounding, so great job. The Highway Department, we received a letter on November 7th. It says, "Dear Mr. Cardone, my wife Elaine and I'd like to take this time to share our very positive feelings toward the upgrading of Lake Region Boulevard in our community. The new paving, catch basins, and road striping has made traveling user-friendly and safer. Additionally, the Town of Monroe Highway Department and Superintendent John Sherney has simultaneously improved School Road to modern standards. John and his highway workers deserve and should be recognized for their excellent work. In closing, I thank you and the Town Council members for their support and remain very truly yours, Thomas F. Jefferson, on Valley View Avenue in Monroe, New York." Thank you very much for your letter. We appreciate it.
Way to go, John. Highway guys. Guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, I know you guys had a rough go there for a couple of weeks on that road, but it was...
Oh, yeah, that was definitely a challenge, but we got through it.
Yep, good. Paid for by a grant, too.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, two abstracts. The first one is the escrow abstract 19-013 for $8,898.21. Can we get a motion to approve that?
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second.
Councilman Scangarello seconded. Call
For
the question.
discussion.
Any discussion?
3 signatures.
Yeah.
They're all signed, these were all signed?
Oh, I'm not sure if they were all signed.
Okay.
I know I signed them,
All right.
so.
I sign.
I didn't. That's
Okay,
why I'm
well, I don't
asking.
know if they did.
Okay.
All right. So, amend that motion, provided there are 3 signatures, please.
All right, support that motion, provided that there are 3 signatures from the board.
Okay.
Who's second?
Sal.
Second.
All right.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye?
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Good eye.
Okay, so moved. Next is a general fund abstract, number 19-017, and that's for $521, I'm sorry, $521,000, $521,357.46. I'll make that motion, provided there are 3 signatures.
I will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye?
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Good eye.
Okay, so moved. Val worked diligently. She got the minutes done from November 7th.
Oh, yeah. Great job.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes from November 7th.
I will second.
Any other discussion, changes, alterations? No? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye?
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Good eye.
Okay, so moved. Up next, there's Newtown Justice Certification and Training.
The Supervisor, do we also have to do the budget minutes as well?
Or are you combining those two? They're both for November 7th.
Yeah, they're both from November 7th. I only had the one on there, so.
If it was held as one meeting, you can do it as just one approval.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's the one for the approval of the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can do that
That
right
started
now.
at 6. Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. So Newtown Justice Certification and Training, it's taking the bench certification course. It'll be attended by Town Justice-elect Jim McKnight. It'll be on Monday, December 2nd, through Friday, December 6th at the Red Lion Hotel in Albany. And there will be a follow-up training session held in the spring. That's a date to be determined. What happens there is justices receive their certification to assume the bench after successful completion of the first section of taking the bench, which this is where he will be attending. The anticipated cost of this, which is lodging, meals, mileage, and tolls, is $846.84. There are 2 line items in training that we would fund this through. The first one is A1110 4189-00. which we'll take $530 out of. That's the remaining balance in that line item. And then the other line item is A11104189-00-01 for $316.84. So I will make that motion to approve that.
I will second.
Okay, discussion. The only variable in that number is the tolls were estimated at $20. So there'll be a little, you know, it won't be more than $20, let's put it that way. So, okay, call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is shared services intermunicipal agreement, the Dial Bus Consulting Services with Warwick. We need a motion for the supervisors to sign and approve that. This is a 6-month contract versus last year we did a year. And the reason behind this was there's, I think we discussed this before, there's a big tax, a big audit that is needed this year. It's done about every 5 years, and we haven't done one, I think, in 10. So I'm asking for someone to make that motion for.
I'll make that motion for the supervisor to sign the town intermunicipal agreement with Warwick on Dial-A-Bus.
I'll second.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, back to All Mine. This is the release of escrow funds. Oster and Associates, who represented the plaintiff, Edward Biagini. They held $100,000 in escrow just in case the town had any environmental cleanup or remediation conditions that were identified. They were not, and the fact that there was a thought here that the cost of doing such a study wouldn't benefit us in some respects, you know, dollar-wise, and if we did it, we would be out additional monies from it. So we know what exists there. It was salt contamination, so I would just like to make a motion to approve that those funds are released back to Mr. Biagini.
I will second the release of the escrow.
Any other discussion? Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved.
CBA.
ZBA 6.4, Planning Training Accreditation Request. So the ZBA members attended a practical guide to ethics. It was a 2-hour seminar that was provided by the Board of Ethics in the town of Monroe. Mike Murphy is requesting that 2 hours of training credit be given. What I would like to do is also approve that for the planning board, so that the zoning and planning boards have 2 hours of credit towards their continuing education.
So is that the proposal, or
Yes,
you need a second?
you need a second.
Cologne, a second.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I thought it was a good course, and I think both boards would have benefited, and I'm glad they went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was
Absolutely, it was
excellent.
good.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Next up is the town buildings located in the village. So, I had met with Mayor Dwyer, our building inspectors, and Jimmy Cox, the building inspector from the village, and we essentially came up with an agreement that they would like us to pass a resolution on, and then we will forward a letter to the village. So the resolution would be as such: be it resolved, Section 1, all whereas clauses are hereby incorporated by reference as those set forth in full herein. Section 2, the town board hereby determines that with respect to the town properties, the town of Monroe will be responsible for code enforcement and inspection in and about all portions of the structures on such town properties, except the exterior portions of the structures which shall be subject to code enforcement and inspections of the Village of Monroe with respect to any code enforcement concerns arising and occurring after the date of this resolution. Those buildings are DeAngelis Hall, 15 Lake Street, the Etz Chaim location on 11 Stage Road, and the theater building at 34 Mill Pond Parkway. Section 3, the town board hereby determines that with respect to Town Hall building located at 1465 Orange Turnpike in the village, the town will be responsible for code enforcement and inspection for all portions of the property. Section 4, the town clerk shall transmit a copy of this resolution to the village as well as the town building inspector and to any other person or entity as otherwise deemed appropriate by the town supervisor. Section 5, due to the fact that the village and town representatives have met and agreed to the provisions of this resolution, the town and village have waived the necessity of engaging in the Monroe balancing test, as the town and village are the only two governmental entities, and neither governmental entity seeks to grant itself immunity from the other's codes, but rather the town and village have agreed to the provisions set forth herein. In Section 6, this resolution shall be effective immediately. So I'd like to make that motion.
Second for discussion.
Sure.
Are there any violations that we have to address by either the town building inspector or the village building inspector?
Right now, there are none.
Good.
Yeah. Yep. What happened with this was, Etz Chaim, which is licensing the old town hall at 11 Stage Road, went to the village building inspector for an electrical permit. And subsequently, it morphed into a fire inspection. And then they had put in a gas stove. And with the gas stove, and the way the code is written, in the state code, in a commercial assembly hall, you cannot cook with a gas stove. You can basically reheat in the oven, but you can't physically cook. So they would have had to get an Ancel system and upkeep that Ancel system yearly. If they put an electric stove in, there's no cost, there's no limitation. So they would be allowed to cook, reheat, and whatever. The only other aspect of this is because of the debacle that went on, and because they have been very kind to us, I would like to add into this resolution that the town reimbursed the village, the congregation, for approximately $550, which was the cost to upgrade the gas service and the cost to now recap the gas service. You know, it was something that we were looking to take care of, and then however the village got involved, which I've been told was through Etz Chaim going to them for the electrical inspection only. I just think being good neighbors and the fact that they're leasing from us, and they were very kind going forward with respect to the purchase of the current town hall, that it would be beneficial for both parties that we reimburse them for those fees.
Okay, should it be two separate resolutions, one for the adoption and one for the reimbursement?
Yeah, I would recommend you just do two separate resolutions.
Okay. All right, so we're back to the first resolution?
Back to the first one is where we stand. It was already open for discussion, so now call the question.
Call the question, yep.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay.
And now a second one for the,
Second one, so I'll make a resolution that the town, let's put it at 600, so there's no misnomer here. The town reimburse Etz Chaim up to $600 for the recapping and the installation, the prior installation of the gas line in the building.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, thank you. And just so everyone knows, they put in approximately 60,000 plus in improvements.
Into the,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It looks great. You should, when you get a moment, you should try to stop down there. Okay, next item on the agenda is town court overtime request. So you have the letter there that was received on October 24th, and then another one was sent on November 20th. I will say that in this letter, there's reference to, oh, let me just find where it went here. Okay, on the bottom of page 2. Oh, it says, at this time, the consuming process is required on a daily basis for all closures of all cases. The process meaning the dismissal of the warrants. So they have said that Woodbury, Chester, and the town of Wallkill have been afforded overtime. Mike and I actually spoke to the town supervisor of Wallkill this past Saturday, and he did not authorize any overtime for this. I spoke to Frank Palermo in Woodbury, and he did, but after we gave him our assessment of it, he said, oh, maybe I should have done it that way. And then Chester has yet to get back to me as far as the supervisor there goes, and that's probably because he was just authorized as the supervisor, although he is now in 2020. Re-elected. So from what other people told me in Chester, they don't believe they were authorized overtime either. And there are multiple towns that I've spoken to that are not authorizing it. The way they're accomplishing it is taking 25 to 50 cases a week, knocking them off during the normal course of business, and getting it done.
So there'd be some downtime, they would just process 1 or 2?
Yeah,
do it
whatever
that
it
way.
is. So that's for the board to decide if anybody wants to make a motion for overtime or just move on.
Well, can we get a report from the courts maybe in the following month to see how they're doing with the backlog?
Well, I don't believe they have done anything yet because they were waiting for us, so I will send an email stating that the town board is not authorized overtime, and that if you can possibly get 25 to 50 of them done per week.
I'm good with that.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, I know this was something that came down from the district attorney's office in light of these, ill thought out criminal justice reforms that are now being thrust upon the towns as an unfunded mandate, and the counties and all the other end users for these unfortunate measures. However, that all being said, there's no timeline on these. Some of these warrants have been out there since 1965. You know what I mean? And that, I'm not exaggerating.
So they can take their time.
So it's not like the building's on fire and these all have to get cleared out. Our feeling is, my feeling is, there's 3 clerks. There's 1 down day a week. Let's see how they progress with it. We know, just looking at the administrative steps here, yes, I know it's a little time consuming, but I think, looking at creating a separate calendar just to address these things is not probably something, nowhere else is doing that. They're just doing it as the normal course of business.
Through a course of time.
Wallkill is the busiest town court in Orange County by far. And they have the same amount of, clerks and personnel. So I think that, let's see how it goes, but at this time, I don't really see a need for doing that, approving the overtime.
Okay. Next item, Superintendent Cherney, the surplus items for disposal.
All right, I'm finally ready for you guys. I knew I had some other stuff I wanted to throw on here, so I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it all at once. This is from the water districts. I have 7 lengths of 7-inch used ductile iron pipe. That's for fire hydrants. I have 1 hydrant. I have 15 pieces of 7-inch PVC pipe that was, some of it broken and no good for us at all. 5 pieces of 5-inch PVC pipe. 2 pieces of 5-inch ductile, again iron pipe. 1 old meter panel, that's from Water District 12. 1 booster pump. 50 meter heads. and the analog units that go with them, wires and all that stuff. And 4 Gold's submersible pumps. So that's from all the water districts. And if you want to approve them first, and then I'll go on to the highway stuff.
I'll make a motion to approve those items for surplus.
I'll second for discussion. And I'm not trying to be a wise guy here, but John, is it possible that any of this can be used to facilitate the creation of the water district over on Old Country Road?
No, anything that can be used will be weeded out, but chances are no. And anything that I can get any money for, I'll bring up to a junkyard. Ductile's not gonna sell, but anything like the fire hydrant steel, so we could bring that up to a junkyard, get some money for that, for scrap, but nothing's usable, really.
Okay.
I got actually,
I'm just trying to.
I have pictures of it for you if you wanna take a
No, that's
picture.
okay. Take your word for it. Just trying to move that along over there, you know?
No, I hear you.
Yeah, I had quizzed him about the meters, thinking maybe there was some scrap metal in there as well,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
There is, but it would cost us 3 times as much to remove it as we would
Watch
have
a
for
mercury in there or
scrap.
something?
No, there's like copper, right, John?
Yeah, the meters are brass and brass heads on them. You know, the back sides are brass with the plastic on the front, so that may get lucky and get some scrap out of that.
But it would have taken a lot to,
Possible.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, highway department stuff. I got the Ford Expedition, it used to be Roy's truck, 2006. I have a Jeep Cherokee, that was, water department used that, and the foreman's at one time, that was in 1998, so that we got some time out of that baby. The Jeep Liberty, which is actually a town-owned vehicle, that was, I believe, for the building inspectors.
Right.
A Toro snow blower, which I could not find any information besides that on there. I didn't see any VIN numbers or anything like that. That does not run. I have an old mud pump made by C&E. I could not find any VIN numbers on that as well, or any serial numbers. And I got a vibration compactor, soil compactor, VSC. I had a serial number of that, R1071. And that's that for that. And I'll give all that information to Valerie so she can log it.
Okay, so we need a motion for those items?
I'll make a motion for the surplus, highway to put the surplus on those highway items.
I will second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just, so the vehicles, are we just marking them surplus?
We'll put them out as surplus. I'll try to put them on Auctions International, see if we can get a couple bucks for them. I don't know
Do
what they're
they
gonna go
still run?
for. Yes.
Slowly.
Would you get more money for scrap for them? I mean, than 98?
Exactly. And I mean, you know what? A lot of these guys that come to Auctions International are actually looking for them for scrap. They're actually peeling them apart. So you might be able to get a better price than just wait, you know?
Yeah. Roy's old truck, definitely not worth keeping.
No, that's
That's done. That thing's done.
That's done, yeah. I have a pickup too that we're still running that's on its
Ford?
last legs, that old Chevy, yeah, that old red Chevy.
The red one.
Yeah.
One other question, the insurance on those vehicles, are you going to, after they're
Oh, absolutely, they're
surplus,
gonna be,
we'll
yeah.
remove them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, anything else, John?
You didn't wanna go through the, CHIPS monies for the crack sealer, or are we gonna wait on Neil's response for that?
I'm still waiting for a response.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I got that information as needed when he replies.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. Budgetary transfer, I just want to table that. I'll make a motion to table that because Madam Clerk is not back. So I want to have her, discuss with her the transfer there. It cannot be transferred inter-fund.
Was that
We're going-
recycling?
We're going from an A fund into a B fund there.
Oh, okay.
Can't do that. So, do I get a second on that?
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. All right, item 7.4, which is not on your agenda. I'm going to turn it over to council. It's the, guys were, I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. It's for the, and that, when I say turn it over to you, just make sure I'm doing this right. It's the bond for Water District 12.
Oh, okay, sure.
So, this is a motion to act on the bond resolution for Water District 12, which is $2.1 million. Now, we had previously approved 1.5, and we're looking at a cost not to exceed 2.1 with everything associated with the improvements there. So, do you think I'd have to read the whole resolution, council?
I can read it for the record if you want.
Okay.
Notice and summary of bond resolution for publication. The resolution, a summary of which is published herewith, has been adopted on the 25th day of November 2019, and the validity. Sorry, is that the actual resolution? Okay, I apologize. Resolution in order after public hearing. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Monroe herein called the town in the County of Orange, New York, on behalf of Water District Number 12, herein called the district, has heretofore adopted a resolution authorizing the increase and improvement of facilities of the district consisting of water system improvements, including but not limited to pump house improvements, water main and tank replacement, control panel and electrical system upgrades, and ancillary or related work required in connection therewith, the project, and a bond resolution authorizing the issuance of bonds in the principal amount of not to exceed $1.5 million to finance the project. And whereas the estimated maximum cost of the project has now been determined to be $2.1 million, and whereas the town board has determined that it is in the best interests of the district to increase the estimated maximum cost of the project from $1.5 million to $2.1 million, and to increase the amount of serial bonds authorized to pay for such increased costs from not to exceed $1.5 million to $2.1 million, and whereas grant funds in the amount of $1 million are expected to be received from the state of New York in connection with said increase and improvement of facilities of the district, and any such grant funds received are authorized to be used to pay a part of the cost of such project or to pay debt service related thereto, and whereas the town board adopted an order describing in general terms the proposed increase and improvements of such facilities, specifying the estimated maximum cost thereof, and stating the town board would meet to hear all persons interested in said increase and improvement of facilities on November 7, 2019 at 7:00 p.m. prevailing time at the Town Hall, 1465 Orange Turnpike, Monroe, New York. And whereas a notice of such public hearing was duly published and posted pursuant to the provisions of Article 12 of the town law, and whereas such public hearing was duly held by the town board on the 7th day of November 2019 at 7:00 p.m. at the Town Hall, 1465 Orange Turnpike, Monroe, New York, with considerable discussion on the matter having been had, and all persons desiring to be heard having been heard, including those in favor of and those in opposition to said increase and improvement of such facilities. Now therefore it is hereby determined that it is in the public interest to increase and improve the facilities of the district as herein above described at the estimated maximum cost of $2.1 million, and it is hereby ordered that the facilities of the district shall be so increased and improved, and that McGoey, Hauser and Edsel Consulting Engineers, DPC, engineers duly licensed by the state of New York, the engineer shall prepare plans and specifications and make a careful estimate of the expense for said increase and improvement of such facilities, and with the assistance of the town attorney shall prepare a proposed contract for such increase and improved facilities of the district, which plans and specifications, estimate, and proposed contract shall be presented to the town board as soon as possible. And it is hereby further ordered that the expense of said increase and improvement of facilities shall be financed by the issuance of not to exceed $2.1 million in bonds of the town, and the costs of said increase and improvement of facilities, including payment of principal of and interest on said bonds, shall be paid by the assessment, levy, and collection of assessments upon the several lots and parcels of land within the district, which the town board shall deem especially benefited by said improvements, so much upon and from each as shall be in just proportion to the amount of benefit which the improvement shall confer upon the same, to pay the principal of and interest on said bonds as the same shall become due and payable, and is hereby further ordered that the town clerk record or cause to be recorded a certified copy of this resolution and order after public hearing in the office of the clerk of Orange County within 10 days after adoption hereof.
I will make that motion.
Cologne, a second.
Any other discussion?
A question for council. I live in this district. Should I abstain or recuse myself from this?
You're not obligated to abstain or recuse yourself unless you have a pecuniary interest in the outcome, and I don't believe you would. So it's at that point, it's a personal choice whether or not you want to recuse yourself. Nevertheless.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
So moved. Okay. Anybody else have any other business? Public comment?
Ward Brower?
Ward Brower, private citizen. I just have two things. One is that now we have the new town hall, we're in the process of enhancing it. Could it possibly get us some room for the Conservation Commission so we could store documents rather than having it in some individual's member's home, as has been the case Mary knows in the past, you know?
There's plenty of room, and we have file cabinets all ready for you.
Okay, I appreciate that a lot. And I tell you, our /secretary/member, Nina, has been complaining for the last 2 years.
I told her when she came in, you know,
I don't think she got the message right, 'cause the last time I talked to her at the meeting, she still said, I don't have any room. I said, let me ask.
No, yeah, I told her when she came in to pick up the items that we had
Okay, that's all.
in storage.
I'll convey that. The second one is on one of my pet peeves, that's the bedroom count. And I have a copy of a letter dated January 10th, 2018. And it was between Laker Brashears and Graham Engineering Service, which the town has used over the decades, and the State Board of Health. And it's regarding a piece of property or development, proposed development called Clovewood Properties in South Blooming Grove. And again, the number came up to, how can we use a bedroom count? Because a bedroom count is a vague number that you have to put down. And cut to the chase is that the County Board of Health allowed, because of now, use their verbiage, not mine, Clovewood property or any other similar proposed residential development located in or around the village of KJ which has a similar demographics, okay, they want a multiplier of 2 per bedroom as a count. We've adopted a rough count of 1.125. That's taking the demographics from going back to before Charlie Kennedy was in chair. And that came, I said, from the school board of 4-bedroom house with 4.5 human beings in it. And that number, so it's almost, had to double that. And they did that, they said, because even though they based it on billing records dating back for 10 years in the village of KJ, they said on a new project, and that the billing records show slightly less than that number. But they want to err on the side of precaution. So they want to do a multiplier of, when you have a bedroom, figure on 2 people when it's being marketed to that segment of the economy. And which affects us, because Smith Farm was never seekered for that market. So our water projections are totally off, as well as sewer and everything else. And in fact, when we were doing the comprehensive plan a couple years ago, we had 446 permits, outstanding permits, which have been in the process, in the works for some Shea Meadows for 30 years almost. And then most of those were flipped over to the LLC / you know. So, and those numbers are based on bedroom count of 1.125. So we're going to have a shortfall. We really need to upgrade those, because that impact can be dramatic.
And who was that from?
This is actually a correspondence between Liggard, Brashears, and Graham, which are water consultants we've used in the past decades, and
They're now
State
WSP.
Board of Health. But, I mean, I don't care who you're using, it's still State Board of Health, and as well as also collaborated with the County Board of Health, agreeing on these, they need to upgrade these numbers.
So that was a statement, in fact, from the state
I
and
can
the
give you a
county.
copy of this letter.
Yeah, that's all.
I don't want to give you this one because I'm scribbling all over it, so I'll get you a clean copy.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
And I think we need to adjust some water. and
If that's been from the county and the state, then it's all legal. It's a precedent.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor?
Yes.
John asked, do we need a resolution to approve Ebner to do this repair for 12? The home
Yes,
maintenance?
I would think so. You want to make that?
All right. I'll make a motion for a resolution to have W&J Ebner Incorporated Plumbing and Heating perform the replacement of a hydro tank. It just says replace a tank in Water District 12, not to exceed a cost of $1,125.
I'll second. Any discussion? The bladder in that tank is shot. We had the option of either re-aerating it, I guess.
Right, reinflate it,
Trying to put air
recharging
in it. But if it goes, it's $300 not spent wisely, so.
Get a new one, yeah.
Yeah, might as well get a new one. Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cankarell, aye.
Again, aye.
So moved. Any other business? Leak, nothing for executive session tonight, right?
I don't have anything.
No, yeah, I didn't know if there was any updates to anything, but, okay. All right, I mean, we talked about it.
All right, so we'll skip it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good.
All right. Just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and if this parade does come to fruition for the MW soccer team, please make sure we all get out there to support them. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:28.
I will second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cankarell, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.